What's up, y'all? It's uh it's Saturday, July 6th. It's still hot, still humid, still just trying to stay cool. Today I want to talk about the importance of emotional regulation. I want to talk about emotional regulation because I believe that's what a lot of us are looking for or are trying to gain an understanding of when we talk about being unbothered or not letting other people uh, affect our moods and affect our way of being, things like that. And I believe we're talking about regulating our emotions. Now, that's something that I've struggled with personally. So this rings true to me. This is a a topic that I believe will benefit a lot of people who are pretty decently in the way, decently in their own way. Uh, I know for myself, I have, you know, lashed out at people. I have, you know, been unpleasant towards myself. I've also felt out the whim of other people and their emotional states because I lacked emotional regulation. And as I've been gaining emotional regulation, I've gained that unbotheredness that we preach and that we aspire for. Um, and unbotheredness is not the same as being callous or not caring. Being unbothered means, okay, if this is how I want to feel, then I will feel this way. And I will feel this way because it's how I want to feel. You see, it's like a feedback loop. We're supposed to have control over ourselves. That's the first thing. Each of us is supposed to have control over ourselves, and that control a lot of times can be taken from us via emotional deregulation. So let's say you grew up in a toxic household, or just say that you had a childhood that, you had a lot of beef with your parents or something like that, right? Let's say that you had one of those childhoods. A lot of us have had that. You can have a hard time emotionally regulating if you've grown up around manipulative people, if you've been manipulated. You can feel as if you don't have any control over yourself. Um, that can play into things like bodily autonomy or just a sense of self, a sense of independence, a sense of worth. If you felt that you don't have any control over yourself, how are you to have worth? Is what your mind can come up with. And I hit on this point yesterday about how trauma can make us believe in toxic thoughts that protect us and motivate us. It's like an emergency mindset. They're necessary. It's the body's way and the mind's way of protecting itself, and they serve a purpose in the moment. But it's important to remember that this is a temporary frame of mind. This is temporary. To be able to say, this person made me mad, this person is pissing me off, this person XYZ, my emotions, valid, 100% valid. People can press your buttons. That is entirely possible. And it's valid to say that is how you feel and that's what happened. However, a lot of us can fall on that as a crutch, or can use that as a crutch. I know I have. you know, let's say you have anger issues, right? You can say that this person pressed your buttons, they poked the bear, and you can use it as a crutch when you lash out wrongfully at someone. But what's going to happen is you're going to realize that the responsibility is going to fall back on you for a variety of reasons regarding your emotional regulation and your emotional state. The way that you don't want it to fall back on you is if it is demanded of you, so to speak. You've been punished due to your emotional deregulation. You've lashed out and you've harmed someone, and now you have to pay the price. That's not what you want. What you want is you want to begin to regulate your emotions because you've understood that to achieve the things that you want, to achieve that inner peace that you want, you need to have your emotions regulated. And to have your emotions regulated means that you can go after all of the things that you want with steadfast endurance and a steadfast, mindset and a steadfast energy. You're not wishy-washy when you have emotional regulation. When you're emotionally deregulated, you become wishy-washy. Your motivation begins to obey the whim of your emotions. And that means that some days you have a lot of energy and a lot of drive for your goals. Other days you have none and you're going back and forth and you can get anything done with that. I couldn't first. And the sooner that we understand that having emotional regulation benefits us, for one, and it doesn't make us machines, for two, because again, we're not talking about emotional suppression. We're not talking about, you know, sociopathy or psychopathy or anything like that. We're talking about regulation. We're talking about feeling and enjoying your emotions or enjoying your emotions in a healthy manner. That's emotional regulation. That's what we're discussing. And it's important to remember that when you have that, you, in a sense, gain a better understanding of yourself. You begin to see yourself in a healthier light. You're able to have better perspectives of yourself. You're able to look at yourself in a way that's truly fair for the first time. Let's say that you've had, all of these rational thoughts about why you should do X, Y, Z. Reason is a healthy thing to have. It's healthy to reason out your actions, right? But a lot of times reason can be used as a crutch when one is emotionally deregulated, and reason can easily become callous because reason was never meant to be alone. You were meant to feel. You were meant to feel all of those things that you can't quantify or keep track of. You're meant to feel all of it. You're meant to feel the whole thing. And if you fall back on reason too many times, if you fall back on reason while shunning emotions or letting your emotions run rampant, then you're off balance, you're off kilter. That's another path towards the machine thought. So when you begin to regulate your emotions, you begin to really see your reasons and you're able to, I think, truly be rational because you're able to feel yourself, right? Reason a lot of times is tangible. Emotions are intangible. You need both. It's like yin and yang, you could say. So when you can feel these intangible things in a healthy manner, you're able to see these reasons in a healthy light too. You're able to go, hey, this is actually what I want. To me, you can feel a healthy confidence versus a confidence that feels like it's being fought for. That's another thing that I've been thinking about. How emotional deregulation can make it feel like you have to fight to be sure of what you want. You have a warrior's pride and warrior's strength and warrior's courage versus like a king's courage, like a kingly confidence versus a warrior's confidence. A warrior's confidence is great. However, that takes a toll. It's brutal. People can feel that. You can feel that when you feel like you have to fight to prove everything you're saying all the time. You feel like everything that you have to say has to be fought to be valid. That warrior spirit, that's the abuse from trauma. That's when your emotions were deregulated because, XYZ. Versus when you get your emotions regulated, you're able to speak clearly. And I mean clearly where it's like, hey, I feel like we shouldn't go there because I saw something on the news the other day about how, XYZ has been going on. I don't think that's going to be good for us. And when your emotions are regulated, you're not afraid of that thought, that perspective you had being rejected. You're not afraid of, or you're not doubting if that perspective is even yours. You're not doing any of the anxiety derived, trauma derived, the cyclical methods in your head. Instead, it's just, this is how I feel. This is what I think. And I would love to know what you think about that so we can have a dialogue. And that opens you up for that courtly, kingly confidence, that healthy confidence. Goes back to living loose. When your emotions are regulated, that's when you're really living loose. You know, that's when you're really unbothered. Because you ever feel yourself holistically rather than haphazardly. We are all here to grow and to learn and to transform ourselves for the betterment of all life. And that starts with us. That starts with figuring out where we need to be healthier so that we can express ourselves purely and correctly. But that's it for today. I just want everybody to remember that, you are the master of your own fate. You are the controller of your own destiny. You don't have to look at that through the lens of like fantasy or anything crazy. You just remember that it's like taking a breath. Your boss cannot upset you unless you allow your emotions to become deregulated. And that doesn't make you a machine or unfeeling or callous or anything like that. That is simply acknowledging your own power. And I want you all to acknowledge your own power, because when we all acknowledge our own power, we're all able to give our own power to each other. That's where all the good stuff happens. But thank you all for listening. Hope you all ain't in this heat wave in the States, because it's real right now. So everybody, stay hydrated, stay cool, or wherever you are, stay healthy as best you can. Another video coming on Monday. So everybody stay tuned. But other than that, peace and blessings. Salute.